Hey, Miyoko. Oh.
Terry.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Why do you always have to come barging in like this?
I'm so sorry. What happened?
Well, you just made me drop the appetizers I spent all afternoon making, that's all.
Oh, I'm so sorry. What kind of appetizers were they?
Well, they were actually made out of tofu. I call them Tuscan Hills.
I'm sure the 30-second rule applies to get them up.
I think it was more like 5 seconds.
Really? In my house, you had a good 10, 15 minutes. Now, you say they're tofu and they're appetizers. Aren't those sort of oxymorons?
Terry, not in this house.
I know. They look great.
Well, you know, I still have time to make them, but I'm all out of fresh tofu.
Well, I'll go get some.
You know where to get tofu?
Where would you get tofu? Tofu store, right? I'll be right back. Don't worry.
That was my neighbor, Terry. He lives right behind my house over there, and his kitchen looks in on mine. Well, you know, ever since he found out I was a vegan, he's been really curious, and he's always popping over here, wondering what I'm doing. Thinks I'm up to something mysterious, but I'm not. You know, years ago I became a vegetarian, and then I became a vegan. And I just love it, you know. I think it's healthier, it's good for the planet, it's good for the animals. My family and I just love eating vegan. Well, anyway, a few hours ago my husband called me, and he said he's bringing some clients over, and could I just whip up some appetizers? There we go. Well, you know, it's no biggie making some appetizers and cocktails, but he thinks I can just wave my magic whisk and appetizers will miraculously appear. Anyway, while Terry go gets the tofu, good luck with that, I'm going to whip up some summer rolls. You know, summer rolls, you know, they're typically rolls wrapped in rice paper, filled with rice noodles and crispy vegetables, sometimes shrimp, etc. I'm going to do a refreshing twist on summer rolls, sort of an East meets West theme, featuring avocado, mango, and crispy Daikon radish. Now, Daikon is a Japanese radish that you can throw raw into salads. You can also cook it, and it sort of takes the bite out of it. I really love this refreshing twist on summer rolls because it's got this wonderfully balanced combination of flavors. You've got the piquant bite. Ooh, there goes the Daikon, another thing off the floor. Does the 5-second rule apply here? I don't know. We'll just toss that aside there. I'm just going to julienne these vegetables here. Now, Daikon, as I was saying, is a wonderful vegetable. You can throw it in salads. You can stew it for several hours, actually, and it gets really, really tender and delicate, sort of melt in your mouth type of consistency when you cook it. So it's a little different from regular radishes. What we're going to do here is julienne all of the vegetables. And it's easy if you slice the vegetables on a diagonal, stack them up, and then you can just julienne them like that. You can also use a food processor. I'm also using avocado. So the idea behind these summer rolls is that it's a perfect balance of the sweet mango, the buttery avocado, the piquant daikon, and it all comes together with a dipping sauce, which features some unusual but wonderful ingredients. There's umeboshi plum, which is a Japanese pickled plum, which is kind of salty and really got a meaty flavor as well. And that's offset beautifully by the tanginess of the lime juice that we're going to use. And then we've got a little bit of agave nectar. I'll tell you a little bit more about that in a minute. First, I've got to finish julienning all these vegetables. Vegetables and fruit, to be exact. Now that my veggies are all julienne beautifully, I'm ready to start rolling. I'm going to roll them in rice paper. They're very, very thin, and they're very fragile and brittle when they're dry. You have to soften them up a bit by dipping them in some hot water. So I've got a bowl of hot water here, and you just want to put them in there for a minute. If you leave them in there too long, they get kind of mushy and hard to work with. So lay it out on a clean surface. Now I'm going to take a little bit each of my julienne vegetables. I've got my avocado, my daikon radish, and some of the mango. And just make a nice little neat pile. Want to fold the ends over like that, and then you want to roll it up as tightly as you can so it all stays together when you cut it. Okay, there's one made. Just keep making these until all my veggies are done. Oop. Ooh, it's hot in there. Got to watch your fingers when you're making these so you don't burn them. Now I like to keep a pot of hot water on my stove because the water tends to cool off after a few minutes and doesn't work as well. So keep a pot of hot water on there so you can replenish it. Once you get the hang of these, it actually goes pretty fast. There you go. And for appetizers, you can keep them relatively small. Not too fat, in other words. So, just so that when you cut them, it's one morsel per bite. Now, I like to make this appetizer for parties because it's really refreshing. And if I'm serving something else like those Tuscan Hills that I'm making, which are a little more savory and a little richer, it's nice to have something that's kind of fresh with crispy vegetables and sweet fruit to sort of offset that. So you can actually do this pretty fast. I have a daughter who really likes to make these too, and I can put her to work in the kitchen making these, and she'll have them rolled up for me in no time. You see how fast it goes when you get the hang of it? Each one of these rolls will make about 4 or 5 little bites. Now we're going to make the dipping sauce. There's only 3 ingredients in this, but it packs a punch in flavor. Again, it's sort of an East meets West theme. I've got a umeboshi plum, which is a Japanese pickled plum. That's going to impart a lovely salty flavor and a pink color to this. And that's going to be offset beautifully by the tanginess of the lime juice and a little bit of agave nectar, which I'll tell you about in a second. We're going to start out with the umeboshi plum, a tablespoon or so. And this is the paste that's made out of the umeboshi plum, the pickled plum. It's not sweet. Now we're going to add about 1/3 cup of lime juice to this. Okay, I think that's probably about 1/3 cup. And as I mentioned, we're going to sweeten this up with a little bit of agave nectar. Now, agave is made out of the same plant as tequila. It's the agave cactus. Make tequila out of it, but it doesn't have any alcohol, so you don't have to worry about that. What it does have, however, is a sweetness that's much sweeter than sugar, so you can actually use less of it and get away with it. It's also lower in glycemic index, so it may be safe for diabetics to use. It's got a very neutral flavor profile, so it works beautifully for dishes where you don't want an overwhelming honey flavor or maple syrup or other liquid sweeteners that have their own distinct flavor. So you just whip it all together, all 3 ingredients here, until it's a lovely pink color. Very, very easy sauce. I think I better test it, see if it's balanced or not. Lovely. There we go. I got 1 down. I got 2 more appetizers to go.
Tofu man, tofu man. Got him.
Oh, good.
Yeah, you didn't tell me how many different kinds of tofu there are. There's got all these different. What? I got firm, extra firm, silken. I don't know what I was getting, but I got everything because otherwise I wouldn't have gotten the right stuff probably. Look at all this.
You went all out getting the tofu, didn't you?
Yeah. Well, I felt badly that I caused you to drop those. Here we go.
No, I'm sorry. I didn't tell you. I know it can be confusing. You know, tofu's just soy cheese. You put a coagulant in the soy milk, and then you separate the curds from the whey, and you press the curds. And then you get all these different textures, and that's how you end up with firm, extra firm, medium, soft. This is silken right here, and this is great for puddings and creams. It's really smooth and silky. That's why they call it silken. Then we've got medium soft right here.
Yeah.
That's kind of what you get in Japan. And that's great for if you're making like a vegetarian quiche or something as an egg substitute. And then there's really firm tofu that comes vacuum packed. And that's great for throwing on the grill or something because it holds up. It doesn't crumble or fall apart
Creamy,
easily.
firm.
And then there's firm. And there's
super firm.
Super firm, and there's extra firm. And sometimes, you know, depending on the brand, the medium is actually sometimes more firm than others.
Sort of like selecting a mattress. Hey, can I have a spring roll?
For later.
Just one.
All right.
Please. These are
All right,
so
but do you
good.
mind if I put you to work so I can start
What I'm
cooking?
here for.
Okay, today we're going to be using the firm, not the medium. I've got a baguette over there, and what I need you to do is slice them up about 1/4 of an inch thick, and then brush some olive oil just on one side and make some croûtes.
This is delicious.
Oh, isn't that wonderful?
Yeah,
I know.
I can slice bread.
Now, do you remember those appetizers you had me drop this morning? We're going to be making those again with this firm tofu.
Okay.
Sort of a savory Italian style flavor, which is why I call it Tuscan Hills.
Oh.
And then we're going to put it on top of the croûtes that you're slicing up right now.
Okay, nice and thin, right?
Nice and thin, and
Okay.
be sure to put olive oil on one side.
I will.